Guys, welcome back to Quick Notes with Croissant. Today we're going to be talking about the book Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. This book really talks about the understanding the difference between the different types of intelligences and understanding that there's actually 8, but specifically 2 that you can focus on. The main ones that the book covers is intellectual and emotional intelligence, hence the book. Now, understanding that high intelligence but can't connect with people or not being able to be in touch with emotions doesn't necessarily equate to success. However, if you have an average level of intelligence, but you're very in control of your emotions, understanding how to connect with others and express certain feelings, that genuinely relates to a high level of success on what they've shown based on the studies. So it's understanding the importance behind being emotionally in control and understanding how to overcome your emotions, your feelings, and efficiently express them versus just being academically intelligent. And it's really interesting because it talks about how accountants, they might be the highest intelligence in terms of IQ, generally speaking, for most cases, but they're definitely not the highest earners. And there can be other industries, for example, even athletes, who just have really high emotional intelligence, but they're not necessarily intellectuals, and yet they vastly out-earn a lot of accountants. And it's just these difference between industries and understanding how IQ doesn't always indicate income. In fact, EQ genuinely indicates income. And understanding the difference and how you can basically utilize that to develop yourself in certain ways to make sure that you are putting yourself actively in better successful positions. The first thing that it talks about is that the ventilation fallacy. How many times have you heard people talk about, oh, you just need to talk about it, you need to express your feelings, get it off your chest? Well, the truth is, based on a lot of studies, that's not actually true at all. You see, negative thoughts result in negative circumstances. So if you constantly think about negative outgoings and negative experiences, then you go towards talking to other people about these negative experiences, all you're doing is really enabling your negative emotions. Let me run through a scenario. You are angry at your significant other. She did something wrong and she's really annoyed you. So rather than sorting it out and communicating with your partner, you've just gone to vent to your friend. And you've just gone, man, she's so annoying, I can't believe she's done this, and you consistently just basically bash her behind her back. What does that really achieve? Well, the answer is nothing. In fact, it makes everything worse, because what that person's doing that you're talking to, 9 in 10 of those conversations, especially seeing how most friendship groups work, that person's just going to agree with you. They're not going to look towards actively solving that problem. In fact, they're going to tell me, yeah, you're right, she is that way. So all that you've done is enabled your feelings of these negative emotions rather than looking towards solving the problem, and then it's just this constant cycle, and chances are your relationship will probably fail if you don't look towards achieving it. Now, there is an exception to this rule. If you're venting in order to understand, right? So there's so many different people who vent in different ways, but majority of people do vent just to express their feelings. There are a few people who vent in order to understand their feelings, and if you're doing that, that's a different story, because that's in the indication of solving the problem. Now, that's what you need to do. So don't ruminate on these negative feelings. The key towards getting out of depression is not by basically talking to people about depression and just expressing your negative feelings. It's about doing things to actively distract yourself from these negative emotions. Now, it's tough and it's not easy. I'm not saying that it is, but everybody's been sad sometimes, and the way that you genuinely get out of it is by changing your environment. You don't want to constantly talk about this negative. Talk negative. Just like how talking positive directly creates your subconscious thoughts and then basically develops your circumstances, so does negative. If whatever you consciously think about affects your circumstances, then what is it that you consciously think about? I think that if you're a positive person, you have positive thoughts, and you basically put yourself in positive relationships and positive situations, your circumstances are going to reflect that. If you constantly think negative, you're down in the dumps, and you basically bring everyone else down you're going to get negative results. So it really starts with what it is that you're thinking about and enabling those emotions and thoughts. So if you can basically master that, then that's how you master your circumstances. The next thing that the book talks about is that people do things for one of 4 reasons, or a multitude of them: money, mating, momentum, and mastery. First one's money. That's pretty self-explanatory. We live in a money-oriented society. We have to basically work. So a lot of our decisions are based around that. It's just how society works. Now the next thing is mating, so sex. So are you motivated to do things because you want to have a relationship with someone, you want to have a level of being able to have that dating pool, have the ability to choose whether or not you want to date these certain people, and basically you look towards progressing yourself in whatever position in order to make sure that you have those options whenever it comes to mating. It's pretty standard. The next one is momentum. So momentum is really freedom. So this can mean that you just really want to be free, you want to be able to have your own time, you want to be able to do what it is that you want to do. So you want to build a level of momentum in terms of your workplace or your income or your job. The final one is mastery. So this one is just status. So when you become master class, or you want to become the best in whatever your field is, you develop a level of ego. A lot of people look towards you as the best. So those are genuinely the 4 reasons why people do that. Now, if you can understand that, then you can basically figure out why it is that you're doing anything. If you're emotionally intelligent enough to understand what it is that you value, you can either A, change it if you don't like it, B, put yourself into positions and embrace it, or look towards basically completely changing and trying to take a step back. I highly suggest you take away from the bad ones, the ones that are not necessarily the most righteous ones, the choices, and look towards more the ones that allow you to build freedom and basically look towards giving empathy to others and experiencing your success with other people. That's, genuinely speaking, always going to produce better results. The next thing that the book talks about is the marshmallow test. Now, the marshmallow test was a test that they basically did on a bunch of kids and tracked them 15 years later after the test to see what the results would reflect. So, basically, they're in a classroom, and a teacher says to the class, hey, I'm about to leave the room. Anybody who wants a marshmallow now can get 1. If you guys wait until I get back, I'll give you 2. And they wanted to test whether kids basically understood the difference between instant gratification and delayed gratification. Now, they monitored all the kids, the cameras, the classroom was actually filmed, and they noticed that so many kids ended up basically grabbing the marshmallow and a few didn't. They monitored those kids 15 years later and wanted to track their success records, see where they were in society, how much money they were earning, the income. And it turned out that literally every single child that took the delayed gratification ended up becoming, on average, more successful than the children who just took the marshmallows. And what that basically demonstrated was the difference between emotional intelligence, or EQ, versus IQ. And it reflected and gave an example of how IQ doesn't necessarily reflect success. In fact, emotional quotient, emotional, stability, emotional intelligence and intellect, that is genuinely what creates success. Because the thing about emotions is that it's what drives everyone. So a person who's in control of their emotions can help control others. And what that does can be from anything to leadership, inspiring others, to helping others basically develop into better leaders, and so on and so on and so on. And if you're ever in a management or leadership position, that's what it's really all about. It's about controlling other people's emotions, inspiring them to do things, and making sure that they're always actively striving to become a better person. An intellectual, a person who understands academics, a person who understands how to solve problems on a paper form, or other things like that, although nothing's necessarily wrong with that, they definitely might not necessarily know how to inspire others. And because we live in such a connected world nowadays, especially when it comes to communication through social media and the internet, as well as face-to-face, it is almost imperative that you need to be able to be an effective communicator in order to make an effective income, an effective impact on your life. So although intelligence is highly important, if you had to pick one between the two, you would definitely want to lean towards emotional intelligence, because that's the one that's going to be consistent and effectively make your life more efficient, more successful, and basically demonstrate a level of leadership. So if you can, obviously the combination of the two is going to be the most important, but if you can lean towards one, always pick EQ, or emotional intelligence, and look towards developing that in yourself and the people around you, or people that you do care about. Finally, having empathy is one of the most important traits of a leader. In fact, it's one of the most important traits of CEOs. So many people think that CEOs are psychopaths. They say the false claim is that 10% of CEOs are psychopaths. When in reality, you have to have such a high level of empathy whenever it comes to being a CEO. Because you are running a business or a company which involves people. It relies on a bunch of people making sure that you do the right thing. Especially with what's going on in the world previously and today. There's so many examples of CEOs sacrificing their salary to make sure that the workers still do get compensated for the work that they have. Now, in order to do that, that involves a level of empathy, because they do understand that they need this company to work through these people being able to work also. And if they don't have basically employees that are ready to go once everything goes back to normal, then of course these companies are going to shut down. So understanding the empathy of the people around them and understand long-term thinking and having that emotional intelligence to understand the future versus right now, that allows them to make long-term decisions that are going to definitely benefit them through all of having empathy. Once again, it stems back to emotional intelligence. Understanding emotions, how they work, and what motivates others and inspires others to make sure they're constantly doing the right thing. So you need to ask yourself, take a step back. Do you care more about IQ or EQ? Depending on which one your answer is, then you should probably work accordingly. If you're an IQ, intellectual type of person, maybe go more into the fields that are reliant on IQ. For example, maths, academics, anything that involves a disconnect from people and communication. If you care about making a lot of money and being incredibly successful in a bunch of different industries, you should look more towards honing your EQ, being emotionally stable and understanding how to deal with the problems emotionally and excess and outside of that. Anyways, guys, that's it for Quick Notes with Croissant. I'll see you in the next one, but don't stop there. Keep looking towards improving yourself and putting yourself in a better position for success. If you like the new format and what we're doing, like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Alright, see ya!